Chapter 2 of Angel Food for Jack and Jill. Little Talks to Little Folks by Reverend Gerald T. Brennan. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Maria Therese. Chapter 2. 3 Farms. There was once a great king who was very kind. This king loved his people, and he was very good to them. He loved especially the poor. The king built hospitals, schools, and playgrounds for the poor. He even visited their homes and tried to make them happy. Now, one day the king had an unusual idea. He ordered 20 of his soldiers to search the kingdom. He wanted the soldiers to find 3 men who were very poor, 3 men whose families were suffering. When the soldiers found the 3 men, they were to bring them to the king. The soldiers obeyed orders and began their search. For months and months they visited every city and town. They visited the homes of the poor and talked with the men, women, and children. They wrote in their books what they saw and heard. And, finally, the soldiers finished their work. Yes, after months of searching, the soldiers found 3 men who were very poor, 3 men whose families were suffering. So the soldier brought the 3 men to the king. "My friends," said the kind king, "I have brought you here today because I want to help you. I'm going to give each of you a new start in life. I'm going to give each of you a house and a farm. If you work hard on your farm, someday you'll be rich and happy." Of course, the 3 men were surprised and delighted. They thanked the king for his great kindness, and each man promised that he would work hard. Each man wanted to show the king that he was grateful. Many people, you know, make promises, and some people keep their promises. Did the 3 men work hard and keep the promises they made to the king? Well, the king often wondered about the 3 men and their farms, but he never asked any questions. Finally, after 6 years, the king decided that he would find out whether the men kept their promises. The king decided to visit the 3 farms. The king went to the first farm, and what do you think he found? He found that the man on the first farm had done no work at all. The man hadn't plowed or planted, and the grass and weeds were growing high. The man hadn't taken care of the trees, so there was no fruit. The barn was not painted and the fences were broken. Even the house had been neglected. The house needed paint, the roof leaked, and some of the windows were broken. When the king saw the first farm, he was sad and disappointed. When the king visited the second farm, he was disappointed again. The second farm was almost as bad as the first one. The man on the second farm had worked the first year. Then he tired and he didn't work any more. The man forgot about his promise to the king, and when the man didn't work, his farm suffered. I suppose you are wondering what the king found on the third farm. Well, on the third farm the king had a pleasant surprise. He found vegetables growing in the garden, and he saw fields of oats, wheat, and hay. The king found trees loaded with apples, pears, peaches, and plums. He saw horses, cows, pigs, and chickens. And the king smiled when he saw the beautiful home and the well-kept barn. You can be sure that the king didn't have to ask any questions. The king knew that the man on the third farm had worked hard. He knew that the man was making money and that he was happy. The man on the third farm had kept his promise. Now, that isn't the end of the story. Each year on the first day of March, the man on the third farm receives a mysterious box. Sometimes there was gold in the box, other times there was silver. Once there was a diamond. And the man on the third farm never knew who sent the mysterious box. But I know that the mysterious box came from the king as a reward to a man who had done his job well. Children, God is our king and a very kind king, too. He loves every one of us and he wants us to be happy forever. Like the king in the story, God has given each one of us a gift. He has given us a soul. God wants us to take good care of that soul. He wants us to work for that soul every day. God wants us to pray and to receive the sacraments. He wants us to keep His laws. If we neglect our soul, we will never be happy. If we take care of our soul, God will reward us. There are many people in this world today who act like the man on the first farm. They do nothing for their souls. They never pray. They never go to confession or receive Holy Communion. They never go to Mass. Yes, they even break God's laws. Surely these people can't expect God to reward them. Other people act like the man on the second farm. They work for their souls for a while. Then they get tired and quit. They forget all about God and their souls. Do you think that God will reward them? I don't think so. Boys and girls, I hope you are like the man on the third farm. I hope you work for your soul every day by saying your prayers, keeping God's laws, and receiving the sacraments. As long as you live, you must never stop doing these things. If you take good care of your soul, God will keep His eye on you. He will bless you with happiness and success. God will reward you, not once a year, but forever. Your reward will not be diamonds or silver or gold. Your reward will be better than all these things. God will give you heaven. End of chapter 2.